Hey guys, it's Clovis, and yes, what a shock, I'm actually playing normal Yu-Gi-Oh! To quickly contextualize anyone that's just shown up. I have only really made Duels of the Roses content before, but the game is boring, I've done everything I've wanted to do and say about it, and I wanted to try a new venture, and I'm also getting bored of other games that I play, such as Dota 2, which might reference in this video, exploring Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and I've got to say, I'm actually having quite a lot of fun. I'm actually really enjoying this game. I'm excited to play it more. I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to get better. And I wanted to talk about. I guess it's a rare thing that someone who's playing this game is actually new to Yu-Gi-Oh! I literally only just started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Master Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, a few days ago. And I wanted to talk specifically about the fact that Master Duel finally allows me to play a game that was extremely confusing to me, kind of alienating. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a very hard game to get into for multiple reasons. If we talk about a time before a good Yu-Gi-Oh! Interface, it is kind of intimidating to go out and ask people who play the game for advice and, demand their patience. It's a big time investment. It's a lot of headache to teach someone a game like this. When you're at a high level, trying to teach a new player all the fundamentals and everything, and then it just gets out of hand. I don't blame anyone who's really experienced in a game not having patience to teach someone else when they just kind of want to play themselves, and that's what Master Duel is for. You load into the game, you make a deck, and the client handles everything for you. The interface allows you to learn the game through itself in the context that every time you can activate a card effect, whether it's in the hand or the graveyard, on the field, or whatever, even if it's banished, you can actually know when to activate an effect. And this allows you to activate effects when you are able to, even if you didn't know you could activate that effect. And that also means that you can learn how to play the game. You can learn through two things. One being activating effects when it tells you you can do something, and the other being to read the cards. And reading the cards actually makes a lot of sense. A lot of people are very casual players are very intimidated by all these card effects that have multiple lines. I love these card effects because if you read them once and you absorb that information, you know exactly what the card does, and if you got anything wrong, the game will tell you. The game basically says if you can or you can't activate a card's effect, and then that's right 100% of the time. The interface is not wrong, and then you can deduce what the reason was that you were wrong when you try to figure out a card. You can kind of problem solve how every card interaction works, how cards work themselves, and what this allows you to do is actually just learn the game by playing, and this is an amazing thing. It's something I probably couldn't have done unless I was playing with someone incredibly experienced, which, as I mentioned, you have to take up a lot of their time. But in this case, me and whoever else is playing gets to learn the game just by playing the game, just by dueling the game. You're not taking out anyone else's time, anyone else's resources. And, like a game like, I don't know, even a game like Rocket League, you're just sitting in the comfort of your own home. Maybe you're probably just sitting at your computer. You can just start up the game, have a duel or two. You don't need to be too stressed out about it, and you don't have to pack up your stuff and go home. You are home. You just close the app if you're done. And I think that an online format actually favors Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, personally. If you ask me, as someone who's played a lot of online games, again, Dota 2, I think games like this, you can actually get a better grip on balancing and even handling, I guess, for the sake of Konami, the money and monetization of the game, which, to play devil's advocate, is necessary to continue sustaining these games. They need to make money somehow. And by making an online game, you're just cutting out a lot of the bullcrap no one wants to worry about. Like, no one wants to find a game shop where a few people might be playing and then, leave the house and do all this stuff. You just want to start the game up and play a game and then move on with your life once you're done with it, without any interruption. So, without any more waffling about, I want to actually talk about if I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a good game or not. And obviously, I'm having a bit of fun, so I will say that I do think it is a pretty good game. I think this game is actually a lot better than it was when it was in its prime, when Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime made everyone want all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and everything. But, I mean, I've seen some cards back then, and a lot of the text on a lot of the cards make absolutely no sense whatsoever, and it was a big sign that they really had no idea where they were going with the game. And that's totally different now. You can tell now, when they design some new cards and they bring some cards out, there are reasons for them, especially in the more competitive scene. Obviously, I'm not good enough to fully understand it, but as someone who understands what a metagame is, when you see a game being updated in a relatively healthy manner, you can again draw conclusions as to why different cards are made, as to why different cards are banned. When you see lots of top tier players play specific decks, you can also find out, or you can assess and kind of problem solve what's good about those decks, how they work in the meta, and then from that point you could think what else in the meta is good. Maybe a card you have is actually more useful than you thought. And the game overall, it makes sense. There's a few things wrong with it. It is not a perfect game, but overall you can make a deck, you can play against someone else who's made a deck, and it can be a pretty fair game most of the time. In the rank system for Master Duel, you tend to, early on, you'll realize your deck's pretty bad, you'll just get completely bodied by people who have a better deck, so you make a better deck, and then you climb a bit more, and then you hit a wall, and then you kind of realize, you need a balance of good deck and skill level, and that, I think, is actually very, very healthy. Sometimes I played against decks that are way stronger than me, and it is a bit of a shame, but that's just kind of the rank system. Those guys are inevitably going to get to a higher rank, and I don't need to worry about those people until I'm a better player myself. And surprisingly enough, I know gold's not some amazing thing. I played this game for 2 or 3 days and I'm at gold because I'm just using a dragon-made deck. I've encountered people with some of the worst decks I've ever seen in this rank, and it's kind of strange. The game's not as fun when it's very, very one-sided, and the unfortunate truth is there are a lot of games you get that are one-sided. As I mentioned, it is not a perfect game, and one thing that I do want to talk about is, the player base. Apparently the player base for this game's just dropped a lot. I mean, I've had friends that when the game came out, they were excited to try it, and then they just kind of stopped caring about it. And it's not anyone else's fault, obviously. It is the game's fault. And there are just still things in the game that shouldn't be the thing. And I'm not talking about hand traps. Hand traps are good for the game. I understand why they're a thing. I think that's all fine and dandy. But just the fact that there are still, new cards that they've made, and they still are part of an OTK deck. I just want to say, from a player experience, if you're a long-time player and you've already accepted that there are OTKs in this game, it's not really a shock. But if you're trying to get into this game, you're trying to learn the game, and then an enemy can beat you without you even interacting. They start first, they OTK you with the Machina Ruin Force deck. I've had that happen to me. And, I'm not even salty. Again, it's totally an example of don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't blame that guy for playing an OTK deck because that gave him a free win. I couldn't even stop him from winning on the first turn. The problem is totally in the game. Why in this game is there a situation where I can lose without even having a chance to interact with anything? If you think, this is probably going to sound like a really weird analogy, but I want you to really stop and think about, imagine the FIFA World Cup, right? And imagine, again, in Master Duel ranked, it's a best of 1. It's not a best of 3. It's not a best of 5. And it's debatable whether that's a good thing or not. Imagine the World Cup of football, association football, soccer. Imagine someone wins the coin toss, and then the other team can't respond to that coin toss, and then they lose the whole game before they even get a chance to touch the ball. That's just stupid. And yeah, I get OTK decks being a thing. If you played Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time, you're probably laughing haha, you got owned by an OTK deck. That's funny. Yeah, it is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's not very fun to not even have a chance to interact with someone that defeats you on the first turn before you get a chance to play. This is objectively a bad PvE game. PvP game, not PvE. Again, if it was PvE, it was Pokemon, where you just pick, you have someone like Kadabra in Crystal or something, and you just one-shot the enemy Pokemon, and you farm. That's fine in a player-versus environment game, but this is online. I want to learn, I want to improve my deck, and if I just get matched against an OTK deck, it doesn't make me think anything but, wow, this card or this deck needs to get banned, or they need to do something about it. And then once you kind of learn that, you know, for example, Market of Ruin Force is like a new card, and it doesn't have these restrictions that stop things like OTKs, that's a problem. It also just makes me wonder why players can deal damage on the first turn, and I get that you know, that kind of makes sense in the context that they've never added a rule that restricts you from adding or taking life points, because maybe you activate cards on the first turn that gain yourself life points, or you pay a cost for your own life points, but I don't think your enemy should be able to lose life points before they can interact. Like, I think that's kind of stupid. And knowing that that's how it's always been, like the card game, the TCG's been out for 20 years now, I'm pretty sure they're not changing that. So it just means that there's always going to be OTKs unless they stop designing bad cards like Market of Ruin Force. And, you know, 20 years into the game, you would assume that they solve these things. I understand, like, you know, interactions with older cards coming out being broken, but they literally design, like, this is a more recent card, and they should really be aware of these things. It's just another sign that the game does have flaws that they need to address. And as someone trying to get into a new game, that obviously affects my decision, you know. Do I want to put money into this game knowing that I might just end up against an OTK deck that kills me? Maybe not. So, anyways, moving on. Master Duel itself, kind of interesting that you need to buy the cards. I mean, it's fine, it's a trading card game, right? But if we're going to start going digital and we're using a client interface, it's just like, think of it, everyone who has these cards in real life, you know, how do they get them into the game? There's no real system to do that, so you kind of just need to buy these cards in the game, which is okay, but in my opinion, you should have access to all cards in the game. And this sounds dumb, but again, I'm going to reference Dota 2 here again. Dota 2, there's more than 100 heroes in the game, and you can pick any of them. There's no restriction, you can just install the game, you can play any of them, and you don't have to buy any, and that's the way it should be. However, if you want to make your character look cooler, you need to, you know, buy cosmetic items. So, what I think would be a better system in this game is if you can just, I don't know, like maybe there should be a duel mode where there's a draft system, depending, I don't know exactly how you'd solve this, so I understand why they don't do it either, but I'm talking about someone who's literally started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe more experienced player would have a solution, but a drafting system, or what I would do personally, again, feel free to disregard my opinion as like a new player, let all players construct whatever deck they want according to the ban list, and if you want foil, shiny cards, ultra rares, secret rares, blah blah blah, you should be able to buy them and, you know, make your deck all flared up. You can see the in-game system with all the, like, companion, you know, you get like a Dark Magician guy, or I've got the Jackalope. This is all cool stuff. People like playing video games and making their profiles and their avatars look cool. This is how you make the money, because people who have money will put it towards whatever they're playing. This is tried, proven, and tested from mobile games. People are spending thousands and thousands of dollars just making their mobile avatar look cool. Again, games like League of Legends, Dota 2, people will play a game, they'll like it, they'll eventually be like, you know, I've got some spare money, I'm going to put it into this game because I'm always playing, and I'll make my character look cool. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not a businessman, so, like, you know, feel free to disregard this, but again, if you let people pay to have, like, a cool avatar and a cool companion, all this and that and the other, then people probably will spend money towards doing that if they like the game enough in the first place that they're playing it daily. I am playing this game daily for maybe an hour or two, depending, you know, I break it up across the day. And what is stopping me from putting money into the game is, again, like, all I can really do is put money in, and then I might have a chance to get a card that I want. But for example, I can't even buy a Guard Dragon Pisty if I wanted to. I can't buy Cold by the Grave if I wanted to. But I can lose to these cards when I'm playing in against anyone or mirror matchup. I can also put money into packs and open these cards, and I can lose to an OTK Mark and a Ruin Force deck. It's those sorts of decisions that makes me stop and think, I'm not going to put money into this game. And maybe that's a different conversation than people playing in general. But the more money that players put into the game, the more money, probably the more seriously they'll take it and think, oh, we have more opportunities to make money, make the game better, get more players into the game. And overall, I think this is just the start of Master Duel, really, even though it's been out for a while now. I don't know if it's been out 1-2 years. I don't know. Maybe it's been out even more than that, and I don't really know. Time is convoluted in the COVID world. But anyway, last thing I want to say is related to that, actually. I think there should seriously be an in-game icon or avatar for literally all cards in the game. If you did shit like this, if you had drafts, if you had stuff like a GOAT format version lobby with all the retro packs, you would probably get old players and new players playing the game at the same time, even without having to interact with each other, and you'd also have the players that have the option to do both. Even long-time experienced players probably would love to have the option to play an older format as something to do with their friends. And I mean, I would probably play Yu-Gi-Oh! With some of my friends that used to play it back in the day if there was a sort of unranked old school card format adding it into. That doesn't really, get them a lot of money, so maybe they won't do that. But there's casual mode coming, and that's just going to let people continue playing the game and doing different stuff and see the game for themselves. And I think at this point, Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe its success is dependent on how good of a game it is or how good it isn't. And I mean, I like this game. It's good now that I've hit a rank where I'm feeling challenged and I'm learning the game. It's all fine and dandy, but this is within the vacuum that I don't have to deal with people who are doing OTKs and stuff. And yeah, ultimately, I do want to play this game more. I do want to get better. I just hope that I hope that they care about the game enough to keep it going in a good way. Because if they don't, continuously make the Duel Master client better over time, it will drop players. But remember, games like Dota 2 have been out for 10 plus years at this point. People are still playing them, but they do kind of get stale and stagnated. So hopefully there's more really big updates coming into the future. I really think the Master Duel can turn from what it is now to something really, really incredible. It could be the game that I play for years now if I stick to it. I will play this game until I'm completely exhausted and bored of it. So, yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys that I like Yu-Gi-Oh! I like it, and I'm trying to like it, and as long as there's no reasons to not like it, I will probably continue to play it. And yeah, hope you guys are all having a good day, and I will see you in the next video, whatever that's going to be. Bye.